What's going on, everybody? It's Ben Johns here. We are back with another Joola setup video. We got the all new Joola Gen 3S Perseus. So I've been using this lately, and today I'm going to show you how I'm going to be setting it up and playing with it from now on. The average weight of this coming in is about 8 ounces. We got a scale here. I like to weigh my paddles before I do this, just to make sure it's not out of spec, which certainly normally is good. We're gonna take off the wrapping here, get it on the scale. Let's see what we got. Nice and brand new. We're at 8 ounces even. I'd love to see that. Average weight, nailed it. Okay, so 8 ounces is normally what I start with, and we're gonna get to the lead part first. We're also gonna be adding an overgrip. So in the past, I have used some undergrips. I've even taken off the undergrip before, but with this one, the handle shape's pretty ideal for me. So just one overgrip is gonna do it, and that's the appropriate shape and size for this paddle. All right, so lead tape first. We got 4 strips of lead here, and all the stuff that I use in this video will go ahead and link below so you guys can find it. But these strips are 1/2 inch width, and each one is 5.5 inches long. In the past, I've used 1 on each side of the throat area. It's still gonna be the throat, but you can see here I got 4 strips today, so it's 2 on each side with this paddle. Let's go ahead and tape that area now. I'll show you where exactly I'm starting it and where the tape is finishing. All right, so typically I start it about an inch or inch and a half above where the handle ends. Try to get it aligned nicely, tape it down, and usually it'll finish somewhere along where the Joola starts here. So that should give you a good marker of where you're at. And just a little note, the Joolas aren't exactly even on both sides. So you might see that this one has, you can see Joola, just the lettering, and here you can see part of that initial logo. But because of this little initial logo, it's aligned a little differently. So don't think you're off. As long as you start it in the same place and the lead pieces are the same length, you'll end up just fine. So that's 1 layer on each side. Let's get the second piece down on both sides of the throat here. So it's just overlapping in the exact same area, just additional weight. Same area. There's the second layer down. Make sure you're smoothing it down. Always have used lead tape on paddles. Different paddles have needed different configurations. So in my previous iteration, the last paddle video I did, I believe it was 1 throat strip, about the same length, but it was 1 instead of 2. And we're also going to be adding a top corner strip, which I have done before, but I wasn't doing on my previous paddle that I was using. If you've watched that before, you know this is going to look a little different. But yeah, typically with any paddle I use, there's always going to be some kind of lead tape alterations. I just kind of feel out the paddle and see what it's needing, or what I can really accentuate with its attributes. And this is kind of after using the Gen 3S for a little bit. This is how I feel it's best. Like I said, we also have a top corner piece here. And we have a 2-inch strip here of 1/2, and I'm actually going to cut this in half. So it's 2 inches by 1/4 of an inch. You can also buy lead tape in a 1/4 of an inch, but I like to do this just so that I know my density is appropriate here. So you can see 1/4 of an inch, 2 inches long. And now the reason I do this, I'm going to show you the placement in a second here. The reason is when I put the lead tape in the top corner, I want to make sure that the length matters to me, the 2 inches, based on where I put it. Here it's going to be wrapping around the corner area, top corners of the paddle. But if I were to do 2 inches and it's a full 1/2 inch thick, I feel like that's a little too much weight for me personally towards the top of the paddle. So that's why I cut it in half. So I still get the 2 inches long to cover the entire corner, but it's half the weight because I cut it in half. Place the tape around the curvature of the corner. I like to start it right where it's blending from the black to the tealish color. And sometimes you gotta eye it up a little bit. It's hard to be perfectly exact, but as long as the 2 pieces are done the same way on both sides, you should end up just fine. Right where it's blending from black to teal, smooth it down, got that. Okay, so you can see it's there on the other side, and then I just kind of make sure that they're aligned. This passes the eye test. They look pretty aligned to me. So that's the finishing lead tape job. Now what we got to do is we got to add electric tape over top the lead. so they just don't have the lead, you know, exposed. Don't want too much exposure to lead. And then we're also going to add an overgrip to this, and then we're going to weigh it up and see where we're at. I personally like some different colors of electric tape, but today I'm going with a nice basic black. Stock weight of paddles is not necessarily what any individual player likes, and putting the lead in different spots on your paddle is going to give you different things. So I've gone over this in some videos, but generally how I think of it is the further up on the paddle you put weight, the more you're going to feel that weight because it's further away from your hand. But it's going to give you different things. So the higher it is, the more kind of top spin you're going to get, because the sweet spot moves up on the paddle further, and the more power you're going to get, especially on ground strokes and things where you're taking a larger swing. And then when you put it near the side, that's more plow through. That's particularly good on stuff like punch volleys, where it's easy power, but not so much with the big swings, more with the small swings for the side support. And then you have more towards the throat area, like I often have it, and that's more for defensive shots. It's more for shots that are on the run, where you might be mishitting it, or where you're blocking from midcourt, where you need a little extra stability in an area where the ball is generally not going to go very far. So if you hit it here on the paddle, it's generally not going to go very far, but if you have extra lead there, it's going to go a little bit further, and sometimes that can make the difference. Last step here is to add our overgrip. Lead tape I typically get from Tennis Express, and again I'll link this in the description. Electric tape you can get from nearly anywhere, and the overgrips I'm currently using Joola's new overgrips, come in packs of 4. Got a nice fresh one here. I like the Joola overgrips. They're nice and tacky. They don't get overly sweaty. I change them pretty often, of course, but so should you all. And I do like that it's very easy to unwrap, and they got these little stickies that you need right in the wrap. It's got Joola's name on it. It looks pretty nice, and it's a nice clean white. I've talked about it in the past, but overgripping, I tend to do it not perfectly tight, where each wrap is on top of the seam, the seam that was wrapped right before, and it's also not super close to the former seam, so it's kind of right in the middle. Generally, I mean, it's easiest to think of this is when you finish your overgrip job, you should have right about this much left of a normal Joola grip. That's generally what I get to. Sometimes it's a little shorter, a little longer, but you can see the wrap. It's not too tight, not too loose. The ridges here, a good length, but nothing crazy. I always like doing the overgrip last, just feels very fresh to finish this. Now we got a beautiful brand new paddle. It's got lead tape, we got electric tape all around it. Black looks nice. Got a very fresh overgrip here, looks clean, feels tacky. And you know, you got to give it a good feel. Is the weight right, balance right? Is the grip right? It's fitting in my hand nicely, the balance is nice. A couple swings, feels just right. Perfect, and we are at 8.5 ounces. You can certainly do it by the second digit or in grams if you want to get a more exact, but I know I generally play right at about 8.5 ounces with this paddle, and this one feels right. So it can range a little bit. Sometimes I use a 7.8 all the way up to like 8.1 to start with, so it might range from 8.3, 8.4 all the way up to 8.6. But as long as I hit with it and it feels right, then I'm good with that. But 8.5 is your target number off of the average, which is an 8-ounce paddle. So that is really it. So that is how I've been setting up the Joola Gen 3 S Perseus. I've been loving it so far, and I will certainly let you guys know if I change anything up, but this is the configuration I'm liking. And once again, I'll link everything that you guys need to do it like I do it. So I hope you got a Gen 3 S Perseus and that you're doing it like I am.